Hello and welcome. The Chinese car brand Geely is probably better known at this point for the brands that they buy than they are for the cars that they produce. After all, they're the well-known owners of Volvo, Lotus, Proton, and they even have about an 8% stake in Aston Martin. But believe it or not, they do somehow find time to produce their own cars in between all of that buying. Cars like this, the Geely Boyue L.
With hands-on test drives and reviews of exciting Chinese market vehicles, Wheelsboy is the #1 source for China auto insights. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. The Boyue is sold under different names in foreign markets, including the Geely S-Cara and the Proton X70. Here in China, it's already received 2 facelifts since it debuted in 2016. First the Boyue Pro, then the Boyue X. The Boyue L, however, is all new and more expensive, with a starting price of about $19,000 versus the $15,000 starting price of the Boyue X.
The Boyue L is trying to convince you that it's worthy of that price increase from the second you set your eyes on it, with a design language that's much more modern and futuristic looking than the Boyue X. The only thing that it retains from that car is Geely's Starburst grille. That grille does a good job of hiding the headlights, which are pretty hard to spot when they're not lit. One thing that it cannot hide, however, is the sharply creased daytime running light that sweeps across its peak. There is no traditional physical badge on this car. It's actually integrated into the daytime running light here, and it's just a light.
The sharp lines of the front end are echoed throughout the rest of the car, with a crisp body line connecting the front fender to the rear taillight. Seen from behind, the connected taillights form a dramatic X shape. The whole look reminds me of a Cadillac XT5, including that new badge design.
Geely never released an official number for rear cargo space on the original Boyue here in China. However, I have access to the internet. That's why I know that the Proton X70, the Boyue as sold in Malaysia, had 512 liters of space behind the rear seats. That's how I also know that this car is a major improvement, providing a claimed 650 liters of space with the seats up and 1,610 liters when you fold them down. The starting price of the Boyue L is more than 20% higher than the starting price of the Boyue X, and while the exterior styling is quite striking, that price difference doesn't really start to make sense until you get inside of the car. Starting with the instrument cluster, the Boyue X had an 8-inch instrument cluster as standard with a 12.3-inch available on only the very top trim. Meanwhile, the Boyue L has a 10.25-inch display as standard. The center screen on the Boyue X was 8 inches with 12.3 inches as the option. Here it's 13.2 on all trim levels. There's also a new wireless charging pad and honestly, a more useful and spacious interior.
Those screens still run Geely's Milky Way OS, but this time it's the latest update called Air. What's really different is the hardware, which includes a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8155 processor and available 5G connection, which should result in snappier response and faster downloads. In practice, we found the screen response times to be very impressive. The sound system receives its own upgrade, going from an unbranded 6-speaker system to an 11-speaker Infinity system with speakers mounted in the driver's headrest.
The design language in here is both simple in that it has very few physical buttons and yet also has a lot of designs and flourishes throughout. Take, for example, the one here on the door, this ray of light pattern that is repeated here on the seats, both front and rear. There's also the fact of these streaks here on the dashboard, which don't look like much until you realize this is where they've embedded the LED mood lights. Those mood lights act as an equalizer when you're playing music. Here's a couple of interesting details you can drop on your unsuspecting friends. Take, for example, the fact that this car's steering wheel and door handles are said to be coated in an antibacterial coating. Never heard that before. There's also these very interesting fold-down sun visors, which are tinted but still clear, so they don't obstruct your view of the road in front while also still blocking the sun. Very cool feature. And finally, if you ever see the interior of a Boyue L and it's this color, you will know it is a pure ICE car. It is either the 1.5 or 2-liter petrol version. However, if the interior color is white, that's a hybrid.
The interior design, while more premium in terms of styling, isn't necessarily better in terms of material quality. In fact, perceived quality suffers somewhat due to all that piano black plastic trim, though fit and finish is quite good.
The Boyue L is a full 10 centimeters, or around 3 inches, longer than the Boyue X, and according to the numbers, all of that space, or more or less all of it, went into the wheelbase. That's pretty apparent sitting back here, because this thing has considerably more rear leg room than the Boyue X did. Headroom-wise, also true, much larger than the last generation. I would put that not just to the increase in wheelbase length, but also an improvement in terms of packaging. One thing they did sacrifice, though, is adjustable rake here in this second row, which was available on the Boyue X, and personally, I would miss quite a bit. In terms of features, we have just 2 USB ports down here, a Lightning port, and a traditional Type A.
The upgrades made to the Boyue L are more than skin deep, much more. It's transitioned from the Geely-developed NL platform to the compact modular architecture, a platform co-developed by Geely and Volvo, and one that underpins cars like the Volvo XC40 and the Polestar 2 EV.
That's not all. The 2-liter Turbo 4 power plant is part of Volvo's Drive E engine family and puts 160 kilowatts and 325 newton-meters of torque through the front wheels. That's more power and torque than was available from the 1.8T Turbo 4 of the old Boyue. However, I should point out that this car's base 1.5-liter Turbo 4 has slightly less power than the old 1.8T. The big news, however, is this car's adoption of Geely's new high-F hybrid powertrain, which combines a 1.5-liter turbo 3-cylinder with a single front-mounted electric motor to make 180 kilowatts and 545 newton-meters of torque. Some foreign media have announced that this car's already got a plug-in hybrid version available, but that's not true. Not yet, at least. That's going to come later. Either way, I wish that this car was a hybrid because Geely has been hyping that hybrid powertrain for quite some time already. Still, I can't really complain about the 2-liter power plant in this car. It's got plenty of power. So, this thing's got a new platform and new powertrains available with more power. That means the driving experience must be a huge improvement over the Boyue X. Right? Right? Yes, but maybe the improvement isn't quite as big as I was expecting in certain aspects. My problem doesn't lie with the powertrain. I think my only issue there is that this 7-speed DCT shifts very slowly off the line. No, my problem is with the platform. Put simply, I don't think this car rides quite as well as other CMA platform vehicles that I've driven. I'm including CMA platform cars from Geely with the same suspension technology in that comparison. That means McPherson struts up front, multi-link in the rear. That's the same tech that you had in the old Boyue, so I wasn't really expecting huge improvements in handling prowess, and sure enough, this thing doesn't provide, confidence-inspiring turn-in or anything. But again, it's a compact SUV, so I'm not expecting that from it. What I was expecting was a little bit more of a premium, solid-feeling suspension, something that didn't feel quite so jarring over speed bumps, because that's what other CMA platform cars deliver. This car, it is an improvement over the NL platform Boyue. However, it's not as big of an improvement as I was expecting.
I have no issues with the driver assistance tech available on the Boyue L, which has a seriously upgraded suite of available ADAS features. Adaptive cruise control is now standard, though the most advanced driver assistance package is only available as a $1,500 option on top-spec 2-liter turbo and hybrid models.
That system has lane keep assist, as well as automatic lane changes and highway navigation on autopilot. That's impressive technology for a car that costs $24,000 as equipped. It also has an ability that I really wasn't expecting. This thing recognizes and displays stoplights on the dashboard. That's something I normally only see on much more advanced systems from companies like Xpeng and ArcFox. It doesn't seem to really do anything with that information, but I guess it's good to know that the Boyue L knows stoplights are a thing that exists. No matter how you slice it, this car is an improvement over the previous generation Boyue. It's also a good reminder that there is some method to Geely's madness in buying up all of those brands. It allows them to work with a luxury brand like Volvo to co-develop the CMA platform, for example, and then distill it down to the point where they can put it into more affordable vehicles like this. It's also a good reminder that Chinese companies, while better known for creating EVs at this point, still produce quite a few ICE vehicles, and they can make some pretty good ones, including this. All right, thank you very much for watching today's video. That's going to be all. Be sure to check us out on all of our social media and our website, links in the description below. And as always, like, subscribe, and hit the bell.